Welcome, magical people, to my channel. My name is Esther. Before I leave you for the new year, I wanted to make a video about how to prepare for the new year more holistically, without the grinder mindset. I want to talk to you all about New Year's energy. I need to address this fact of we can look at the new year as the beginning of something new. Like if we were to compare it to the tarot, it would be the Fool card. New beginnings, right? There's this very powerful energy that invites us to embark on a new journey. However, with this specific New Year's energy, there's a lot of this grinder mindset, a lot of this unnecessary energy that's been building up for it to just crash. I just feel like it is very strong, but also it's like drinking caffeine. Once you drink it, you feel the energy and it pumps you up, but after a few hours, there's the crash. And with New Year's energies, I always get this sense of everyone decides to do a million of things and they get the initial motivation and determination. And then after a few months, it overwhelms them and they just give up. And it happens to me as well. It is so common for us to get into new things, being pumped for them, and then after a few weeks, months, whatever, we just completely forget about them, or there's too much pressure and we just don't do it anymore. And this is not the New Year's preparing that I want to give to you. There's way more depth in what I'm about to present. When you think of new beginnings, actually the new year, as in seasonally, starts when spring comes around. That's usually in March. That's when we count the new year. And what is really surprising to me is that it's right in the middle of the winter. Nothing really changes, and the seasonal depression is still lurking on. And we just do not allow ourselves to rest enough to get ready for the spring, to get ready for something new to bloom. We already just want to leave everything we've done behind and just start from a new mindset or whatever, without actually leaving ourselves to rest. Because yes, Christmas and Yule and the winter solstice is considered to be this resting period. However, for a lot of people, it is not. And still, even if it is, it's not just 1 to 2 days. It needs more time for people to rest. Let's talk about the stigma around New Year's. How everyone, or at least most people, think that they should be changing something about themselves in the upcoming year. And that is totally fine. I think it is important for us to acknowledge when there are certain parts of ourselves that we want to improve upon, but not change. Because change is inevitable, no matter what you do. Change is always forced when you do it by yourself and you don't allow it to happen to you. When you want to improve, there's a little bit more subtlety to improving certain things. But I want to tell you right now, before we get into anything, is that you don't have to feel like you need to change or you need to set certain goals for yourself when it comes to the new year. It's not something that always has to happen to us. And if you feel like in this moment you are okay the way you are, even if it's January 1st, then let that be your reality. There will be times when we discover something new that we want to do, and that doesn't necessarily have to be connected to New Year's. I invite you to think of the New Year's period as in a time for you to plan and ignite a spark within you instead of burning that fire. Don't do it yet. Why is this important is because there's something so beautiful about just taking the time to sit down and think of what you want to do, what you want to experience in your life in the upcoming year, then already jumping into a plan or this very structured script of how you should live your life. Because throughout it all, you might realize that there are certain things that you don't want to do anymore, or that you don't need to do because you're already there. Sometimes we tell ourselves stories and we make ourselves so little that we forget how far we've come and how big we are and how expanded we are. I think it's also important for me to tell that some of us might not be in their happiest places right now, and there might be so much pressure, or there might be a sad season for someone. And I hope you know that that is okay for you to experience, and that you are not alone, and that there will always be people like you and people who will support you. I support you no matter what you're going through. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in not being where you're supposed to be. There's no shame in grief. There's no shame in disappointment. There's no shame in sadness. You just carry on, do your best to live day by day, and know that after each sad season, the sun will always shine. Let's talk about the importance of reflection and looking back at your past. So if you're the type of person who journals every single day, every single month, this is really good for you because you'll be able to check back on past versions of yourself. But if you are the type of person who just doesn't bother to, I recommend at least trying this journal prompt out, or more so like journal guide. If you are looking to start journaling, this is a really good way to start, to kind of release and let go. This is a monthly reflection. If you've done these before continuously, then you just go back to them and read them. But if you want to look at it through fresh eyes, then follow what I'm about to say. So each month, through pictures or reviving memories, whatever helps you to remember that certain month, you're going to think of what you've done and how things went. And then, as if it were a book, give it a chapter title. Like January being first chapter, name it like The Ascension or whatever that is representative of that month. And then, as you look through pictures or revive memories in your head, you might feel certain emotions come up and start to be really heavy if you've experienced a lot of pain, or be really light if you've experienced a lot of joy, or even both, because we are ever-shifting beings and our emotional states always shift. Whatever you felt throughout each month, that is totally fine. I want you to experience these feelings, but in a detached way, as if you were watching a movie and you were looking at the protagonist through the screen. Like there's a barrier between you and your emotions, to kind of see and analyze and understand yourself better. This is why we're doing this, to understand ourselves better, understand our emotions connected to those contexts. You will experience a lot of thoughts coming up. Some might be destructive, some might be really building you up. And again, try to detach yourself as much as possible and remember that that was you a few months ago. It's not who you are now. That's a different time period. Do not associate yourself with that version of yourself anymore, because that's been in the past. You just want to look at how you were to kind of get a grip on the person that you were at that time. To just see and look at yourself as you were to look at someone else's journey. And then the last thing, write down 3 things that you are ready to let go of. That can be good and bad things as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a past friendship or heartbreak or whatever. It can also be something positive because you've gotten to a point where you know that it was enough of that. I can let that go now. You don't need to hold on to it. And then the next thing is write down 3 things that you are grateful for or thankful that you've experienced. And again, that can be either good or bad. Sometimes negative experiences are what bring out the best of us. And that is why sometimes we can be grateful for painful experiences as well. And the last little thing regarding all of this is, as you go through each month, you'll realize your sort of evolution. If you've done this thing 12 times, you're going to get a grip on how you were throughout the last year. Your ups and downs, your cycles, your flows. Just know that that is in and of itself a story. However, there's a lot of junk and gunk and pain and sorrow and everything that builds up with all of this reflection. And so the last little exercise that I invite you to do is close your eyes or just gaze at something in your mind's eye. Imagine putting all of that, it can also be positive things, whatever your last year, something that you just are ready to release, putting that into a box, a jar, whatever, just like a storage thingy-mingy. And then through your mind's eye, taking that off of your shoulders or your back or just, sitting up straight and giving it away to either your higher self, any gods that you pray to, any higher source that you believe in. Allow it to take it off your shoulders and say, these memories, although are cherished, are released. It's not about forgetting them. It's not about pretending that they don't exist. It's about releasing all that trauma, all that baggage that came up with it, so you can start fresh, kind of cleanse yourself as you move into the next year. So even if you don't have any resolutions or anything like that, I think this is a really good exercise to just let it all go. Get yourself ready and pumped for the next year. And of course, you cannot let and release everything. But this is a starting point. And it is something that is going to liberate you one by one, piece by piece. Instead of lists and resolutions, create a vision board. You might be curious what a vision board is. You might already know. But vision boards are not necessarily specific things that you wish for. It's more so a collage of what you are aspiring to become. Vision boards can be about anything. And in this case, don't make it about your future decisions, but more so think about what you truly want or what you truly aspire to become, because there's a really high chance that you already are that. There's just something that needs to bring that out of you. And if you are creative like myself, this is a super fun thing to do. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on a piece of paper. Like, you can get as creative as you want. But don't forget about the fact that sometimes aesthetics are not necessarily what you need. It's more so what you put into them and the ideas that you form around that vision board that are going to be really important. And I've made a vision board. It's my desktop wallpaper about like spirituality things and finding my tribe and everything. It's not just what I want to achieve, it's what I want to attract, what I want to bring into my life, what I open my heart up to, what I open myself up to attract. It's not necessarily what I want to force into my life. Again, I'm talking about this force. It's not about forcing, it's about allowing. Let the universe surprise you. That's the main idea. And art is an amazing way to express yourself and to communicate with the creator. Dare to try out multiple things and see what best fits you. Again, it's not about setting up a specific list of what you want to do or what you think you should do. What makes your heart pound stronger? What makes you smile more? Allow yourself to start something and then maybe give it up if you don't feel like it. But don't just give it up at the first try, like push yourself enough that you know that like you could never do that, even if you tried a million times, because you've already tried a million times. Like that's the idea that I want to get across. But just this allowing of multiple activities and multiple scenarios, it's not just about, trying out painting or going on a hike, but also it's about relationships. Like get yourself more open to certain people that you might have never thought you could speak to. Just try different scenarios. Be safe, but try different things and see whether you really align with them or not. And even if you fail, don't feel bad for it. Just know that there's something different, something better for you to explore, something better for you to try out. Not everything is for us. I think it's important for me to talk about movement medicine. I love this term so much, and I think when you look at movement as medicine, as healing, it completely changes your viewpoint of it. Movement, in my opinion, is a must. It's a way of life. It's been a way of life since the beginnings, since we've been human. We've always moved. And it was about survival sometimes, but it was also about expression. It was also about how it felt to be in your body, to connect to your body. And the difference between moving and the fitness mindset is a complete other dimension. Because with the fitness mindset, you think that everything you do it for a certain goal, to lose weight, to look fitter and whatever. And although it's some people's choice to do that, and some people are really good at that, not all of us want this. Some of us just want to exist in our bodies without focusing on it so much. Just enjoying what it feels like to have all of this going on, the blood rushing in our veins, and the ability to smile. That's also our body. The ability to hug someone and to feel their warmth and everything. It's so much of that we experience for our bodies, and we don't allow it to live in its fullest expressions. We hide ourselves and everything, but through movement medicine, you allow yourself to be instead of achieve. You are who you are in your body, and you explore it and you enjoy it, and that is the medicine. Anything that you do and choose a practice that feels the best for you, that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy after you finish, that makes you feel like you worked for it, but it was worth it. Focus on healing and learning more. Once you get connected to yourself, you start to see how much pain you carry. Healing all of those wounds one by one can feel like a lot, but it's also so liberating when you realize that it's been done, that the healing's been done. And sometimes healing might look like a year, might look like a decade, but might also look like a month or even a week. Depends on you. But rather than having these superficial ideas of what your New Year's resolutions might be, think of what your soul truly desires. And if that's healing, then go for it. Learning more. Learning more about yourself, about the people around you, and about the world around you in general. I truly recommend this. If this is like one thing that you have on your list, have that. Put it on your vision board. Learning, learning, learning. And not just learning as in high school, when you had to learn the periodic table. I'm talking about learning with your heart, being a sponge that just takes up information, but also remembers it because it's important to it. And when it's about learning, be open. I always say that we can learn so much about ourselves through others, and also we can learn from others. With that said, I hope you have an abundant, healthy, and joyful new year. I wish you a lot of journeys and a lot of ways to experience. And remember, whenever you get to dive deep and face the gates of hell, know that after death, there's always life, rebirth, and love. Bye, my loves. Goodbye.